This time on Gamers Week podcast.
You know what they're going to do is they're going to finally port Final Fantasy VII to an N64 cartridge. Just one. That's
just one cartridge?
Just one 64 megabytes. They're going to get the whole game in there.
No, see, it should be like a subscription service. So every month you get the next 64 cartridge of Final Fantasy VII, and it goes on for what, 3 years, something like that?
Right. You get 20 more minutes of the game.
We throw out a lot of good ideas, which I'm sure some people listen to and implement. Don't put that out in the universe.
Come on, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
So, Donnie, would you be upset if I said, make sure to watch out for your cornhole, bud?
No?
Just completely out of context?
No, I mean, he got rear-ended today, so...
Oh, I was going to say, please don't tell me that you said something like that at one of your new employers and they took it the wrong way.
No.
Okay.
This wasn't a litmus test like, hey, could I run this by you? Because HR didn't like it. No, this is
watch out for your cornhole, bud.
Right. This is just me trying to make light of your situation because I know it sucks.
I'm trying to make light of the situation as well.
It's more like, did you guys watch the Twisted Metal series?
Yes.
Haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but you remember what happens the second to last episode?
I know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah. Okay, no,
yeah.
Yeah.
Donnie's just been through a moment like that, and he needs some time. Evanescence is playing in the background. It's all very somber. It's early 2000s somber, and we need to respect his moment.
My Immortal. That song makes me cry. I can't listen to that song.
Is that the one where it's like, take me out the side?
No.
That's the only song.
Really? That one makes me cry.
Wake me up.
Wake me up inside. I know again. That you guys, I'm glad that we weren't live because that might get a DMCA strike because that was so
right.
on point.
It was absolutely spot on.
I was going to have you try to do it again and hit the go live, like just right at the same exact time.
So glad you didn't.
Oh no!
Oh.
All right, are we live?
We are live.
All
we are ready to
right.
go.
Welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 118, and today is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone. My name is Blue Williams, and I'll be your host for this evening. But as you can see, I am not alone. I do have my two fine co-hosts with me. My first co-host is a part-time phallic engineer who dreams of one day hosting a naked toy car racing channel on OnlyFans.
We're hoping to get syndicated eventually, right? So OnlyFans is just a start. That's what I'll say.
You got to start somewhere.
Right. But we give certain perks to folks who support early. So just want to throw that out there. Links in the bio.
And be sure to ask my second co-host about his number 2 Lamaze classes. They fill up very quickly. Please, everyone, say hello to Ryan Payne, a.k.a. retrogamebrews, and the one and only Donnie G.
I will say that I have not had a turd stuck yet. They all come out. With my breathing tips, they all come out.
Haven't made a trip to the hospital for an extraction, if you will. Get the forceps.
All right. Can you do a C-section on a turd?
What you need is two things: a pair of ice tongs and a friend that can keep a secret.
Okay.
Trust me, bro. I've made bongs with less.
All right. Well, on that note, let's move on to our reviews, reactions, and requests. At Mogak says, I mean, yeah, Square Enix reported heavy losses, but we knew this would happen eventually once Square Enix pursued NFTs and games as a service models without any evidence that it is desired. Financially, they will be fine, but the layoffs are pretty crappy.
Indeed.
At 16-Bit Nostalgia says, if Square Enix released a Final Fantasy IX remake, it would be a license to print money. But what do the gamers know?
I completely agree with this. I think Final Fantasy IX was a fantastic addition, and I would buy this day one.
I still haven't played it.
And everyone is shocked to hear that.
Right.
Shocked. And A Beer and a Game says, I know what won't not turn Square Enix around. More tits.
Now, are we talking like more Tifa and whoever with just like big, like their bosoms pushed together, showing a lot of cleavage in their battles and stuff like that? Wouldn't that draw the gamers in?
This is one of the quintessential moments for me, at least, why I'm glad we're doing this via camera, because I can see Donnie pressing his boobs together, and that illustrated it his so moobs. Well. Yeah, his moobs, his man boobs.
Mm-hmm. I don't have man boobs. I have pecs. Okay. Thank you. I can make them bounce. All that.
I don't see the bouncing if you were demonstrating.
It's a black
it just
shirt.
now.
Okay, it's a black shirt.
You should.
Okay.
I mean,
Sure.
Shirtless for the rest of the show. Anybody?
And it's extra large. So now, if I do it, maybe. No, I can't do it with my hand tied behind my back. So forget it. We're moving on.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to our patron shoutouts.
All right, and we couldn't do what we do without our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. Don't Make Me Pull Over This Car, Sir Coffee of House Blend, first of his name. Hybrid Divide, Matto1606, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, the Red Ox PDX family, including Shanna and Luke, Zach, huge thanks, #1 Blue Sick Voice fan, John Baran, Sassy Sony, Evo Lust, Rai's secret best friend, Mega Retro Man, Gamatroid, Moradib, Michael LeKite, Emo S, Bill Tucker, the real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcake's Fruitcake's Pickled Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, Wizard of Zardoz, Bobson Dugsnut, Loudmouth, Retro Blast Pat, Great Siaman 81, B&T Zillaguy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Kinnair, Doogie Forever, and Ducks in Disguise. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing, like prizes and giveaways. You also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
Are you just trying to rub it in our faces by because you have so many fans that you just get their names all jumbled up?
I'm sorry. I stopped hearing what you said after you said I like rubbing it in your face. Just rubbing it right in there, you know?
Nice and slow.
Nice and slow. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to our headlines.
Our headline segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and Hugh pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they're playing through WWF In Your House and Lords of Thunder. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
I've never heard of WWF In Your House.
I do not know these games. Either one. I'll be honest.
I just haven't. It's been a long time since I played it. If you look at In Your House, I believe it's the cover with Shawn Michaels doing his like elbow drop or something like that. Yeah, so it's got Big Vader, Shawn Michaels, and I believe Bret Hart dropping down. And it looks like it was on the PlayStation 1, if I'm correct. The graphics are not anything to write home about. It's a little bit...
You've described the entire library of the PlayStation 1.
Indeed.
I mean, if you look at a game that came out for, I think, Steel Cage Match or Rage in the Cage for like the Sega CD and the Sega Saturn, that was real. That was a amazing game. This one, I'm not sure about the gameplay, but it doesn't look like it was really any good.
Does it happen in your house? Is it like they're wrestling in the living room?
It's in your house.
It's in my house, specifically.
It's not in my house. It's in your house.
Oh, well.
Is this a 90s game? Because if it's a 90s game, it should take place in your mom's house.
Your mom's house. Your mom goes to college.
But all I'm thinking about is that commercial. Do you remember that commercial where they had with like Sting and he's got the kid and he's like dragging him through all the, the decorations and stuff in the house and like throwing them. That's what came to mind, is that they're wrestling in someone's, basically their living room or in their kitchen, right? Picking up chairs from the kitchen table and smacking each other. If that wasn't made, if that is not what this game is about, I will be very upset.
Well, I think you're going to be upset because it looks like the stages are different. It looks like there's an outdoor dude ranch in the Southwest.
So you're not even in the house.
You're not even in. Well, I mean, you could be in somebody's Adobe, but I don't think so. We call this an Adobe.
Okay. Well, let's start off this week with quick takes. First up, Microsoft has announced the Xbox Proteus controller, a new customizable controller aimed at gamers with accessibility issues. The controller will begin shipping this autumn and will cost $299. The controller is made of several balls that snap together to form whichever shape is most comfortable for the user. According to manufacturer BioWave, the controller will work with Xbox Series consoles as well as Xbox One and PC at launch. The controller will not support PlayStation consoles or Nintendo Switch, although BioWave has said it would like to work with both platform holders in the future.
$299 is kind of expensive for a controller, is it not?
It is.
It feels like it, but I guess I don't know what other accessibility controllers go for.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with that either. But it looks kind of like a Rubik's Cube mixed with those like magnetic balls or whatever. It's really kind of cool, to be honest with you. And it sounds like depending on how you need to use it, you can adjust it to how you want. And even in fact, it'll come with two handles on the side if you just want to snap, four of the balls together and just use it like kind of like a pro controller is what it looks like. So,
but I guess if you could do that, why do you even need it in the first place?
The only thing I was thinking is if you wanted to hand it to your friend or something like that.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. But it comes with four of the balls, and then it has all of these faceplates that you can snap in and snap out, which again, super cool depending on how you need to use it based off of your ability, right?
Right. And that's what I think is so cool about it, is because it's customizable to you and however you feel, however you want to play. If you have a disability or if you don't have a disability, you can customize it to where the controller feels comfortable. I'm not sure if this will give you an advantage over other people who are using a regular controller, but nonetheless, I still like it. I like the idea. And the fact that they're making this I don't think they're specifically making it for people with disabilities, but it just gives people the option to use something different than just a regular old controller that they may otherwise not be so comfortable with.
So the PlayStation 5 Access controller is $89 on Amazon.
Okay.
Microsoft's Xbox Adaptive controller is $100 on Best Buy. Logitech G Adaptive controller is $128 at Walmart. So this seems to be, at least from, a quick Google search, seems to be significantly more expensive, as much as a Switch itself.
Right.
So I kind of wonder what it's going to do that's going to be so much better than those other controllers that already exist.
And also, this is for an Xbox controller for Xbox One, right?
On the Series and PC. Right.
But, I mean, at this point, Xbox Series consoles are kind of halfway or even further in their lifespan. So investing $299 in something that may only be around for a few more years, I don't know if that's a great investment either.
Well, whatever they've got planned next, Microsoft already knows.
That's true.
So I would assume that they would have that in mind when they were designing this thing.
You would hope so, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise, I agree with you. That's kind of crappy.
But to your point, it's, I think, even more than twice as much as the highest costing one that you were able to find, right, Blue?
128, yeah.
So it's more than double that.
More than double. The customizability must be amazing with these little balls. All right, next up, Sony shipped almost 5 times more PlayStation 5 units than Microsoft shipped Xbox Series X and S consoles during the last financial quarter. This week, Sony announced it has shipped 4.5 million PS5 units during the 3-month period ending March 31, 2024, which is down from 6.3 million it had shipped the same period the previous year. Microsoft has said Xbox hardware revenue declined 31% during the quarter, predicting more declines to come. Perhaps the huge gap between PS5 and Xbox Series X and S consoles shouldn't come as much of a surprise given Microsoft's clear shift away from the console as the be-all and end-all of its gaming ambitions.
And in fact, I heard that Microsoft, and this is a total rumor, so please take this with a huge grain of salt and a shot of penicillin, but I heard Microsoft is looking at potentially buying Steam as well.
What?
Oh, please, no.
Where did you hear that?
The Twitters, which is an extremely reliable, very reliable source. In fact, they threw out a number of 16 billion.
16? Really?
Yeah, 16 billion.
I would have expected more than that.
I would have too, considering Blizzard or Activision Blizzard was almost 70 billion.
69. What is the net worth of Steam? I am curious.
That does not give me good hope for anything, really.
The fact that everything is going down?
Yeah. The fact that Microsoft is buying up all these different game studios and closing them down and continuing to buy.
You're right. What on earth would they do to Steam? Just get rid of it? Get rid of one of their biggest competitors on PC gaming?
Yeah.
Just buy it and shut down.
Rebrand
It wouldn't be the first time a company's done that.
No, it would not. So according to a quick Google search, the net worth of Valve was 7.7 billion in 2022.
So actually not that unreasonable. And I'm sure Lord Gaben would love to take home $16 billion.
What do you think he makes every year, though?
I have no idea. I'm sure it's enough to have gold toilets in every room in his house.
And one of those puffy toilet seats that's gold.
Oh, well, that, of course. And that, I mean, if we're talking about luxury, that is clearly what he would have.
So Frank asks, would the Stream Decks just stop working? And
they turn the switch off, the kill switch that's associated with all Steam Decks.
Right.
Maybe.
I don't know if Microsoft would go that far.
Would you put it past them, though?
No, I wouldn't put it past them at all. If they're like, well, console gaming is, or not console, but handheld gaming is just not in our wheelhouse. We don't really care for it. We're going to shut these things down. I can see them not shutting it down, but no longer producing that because it's not really. I don't know how many people have a Steam Deck. I don't know of its popularity. I'm not going to sit here and speak to it and say like, oh, nobody owns a Steam Deck. Well, I know people do own a Steam Deck. I just don't know how popular or how widely adopted it is.
Well, it was supposed to be the Switch killer, though.
Yeah.
Right. Or the death knell for most things is we're just going to stop supporting it.
Correct.
There you go. And honestly, the fact that Sony is beating Microsoft by a large margin is not
5 times.
Yeah, I'm really not that surprised. Microsoft has kind of taken the second place seat for a couple console generations now. So as far as I'm concerned, is it 3 console generations? Is that what we're going to say?
Well, it's the third place seat.
Oh, behind Nintendo. That's a good point.
Right.
I didn't really think. I mean, I'm so used to Nintendo just being like, okay, they're off doing their own thing.
Right. We're not part of this fight. Yeah.
Right.
But they are.
That's a good point. Yeah. But they take that seat quite well. And I think they kind of recognize that for them, at least, they got no chance, right? They're the Dr. Pepper and the Soda Wars, right? Some people like them, I'm sure they do really well for themselves, but they're not going to beat Pepsi or Coke. Let's be honest.
Doesn't Pepsi owns Dr. Pepper.
I don't think it does. I think
No?
Pepsi, it's its own thing. Dr. Pepper's its own thing, if memory serves me right. I have some in my house. I can go down and check later.
Could be worse. It could be the RC
Snapple.
Cola, I guess.
So Dr.
Snapple
Pepper,
owns
Snapple
Dr.
Group.
Pepper.
Yes, there you go.
That's a drink I haven't thought of in like 20 years.
Oh, that lady on that commercial. Bill from Genosha says.
I don't remember the Snapple commercials.
You don't remember the Snapple
No.
lady? Oh my God. So somebody tell me right now in chat, do you remember the Snapple lady? Come on. Those commercials are timeless.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
See, thank you very much.
She's the secretary. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I remember. It sparked.
I feel like you're going to get a
joy.
YouTube link here shortly, Blue, that you're going to have to watch after we're done here.
Oh, well, that's good because I'm feeling so left out that I didn't have this impressionable moment early on in my life. All right, next, Take-Two Interactive is doubling down on Grand Theft Auto 6's release date, saying the long-awaited sequel will be out fall 2025, despite rumors of a possible delay into 2026. Take-Two announced GTA 6's updated release window in its latest earnings report, saying that its current outlook is based on the new date. We do feel highly confident that we'll deliver Grand Theft Auto 6 in fall of 2025, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick told IGN in an interview when asked if he was concerned that GTA 6 may get delayed. Rockstar Games officially revealed Grand Theft Auto 6 last December, with the first official trailer becoming the most viewed video game reveal on YouTube within 24 hours.
Anytime somebody says that, it feels like you're at the poker table, right? And somebody's going, "Oh man, didn't think I was going to get these cards, but I'll take it." You know,
Right? But I'm feeling highly confident about this hand.
Right?
Has potential.
Put some chips in the middle and like wink at you. You know.
Do I believe him? Do I not believe him? I don't know.
I mean, because if it releases in 2025, like it's supposed to, it's probably, I don't know, 90% likely to get Game of the Year. I don't even know what else is coming out next year. And I'm not sure anybody else wants to go head to head with Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh, of course not, right?
So if it releases on time, it will probably be Game of the Year. But if it gets delayed, holiday season may end up looking bleak.
And the weird part again is that you've got all these studios that are rushing to push out games, and we're literally saying to them, don't push it out because we want a good game. But we're also saying, yeah, but we want something for Christmas.
Right. We don't want a sad, gameless Christmas. We've been so good all year, or, ish. And so Santa needs something to bring us.
Santa knows what I did.
All right. Less than 18 months after it was first rolled out, Tesla is allegedly pulling Steam support from its vehicles. Back in December 2022, Tesla confirmed games like Cuphead, Sonic, and Cyberpunk 2077 could be played as part of a native beta Steam app in the company's S and X models. Tesla is updating the gaming computer in your Model X, and your vehicle is no longer capable of playing Steam games, Tesla said in a brief statement sent to customers awaiting delivery of their S and X models. All other entertainment and app functionalities are unaffected. There's been no confirmation on why the functionality has been dropped, but it's thought existing Tesla owners already using the app are unaffected.
Maybe it's all of the lawsuits they've gotten for self-drive, where their cars have crashed and had fatal accidents. And now the government is looking at them very highly and suspiciously. So having playable Steam games in your car is probably like not a great thing. Be like, oh, no. But the drivers, they can always take over if the road gets too tumultuous. But not if they're playing Cyberpunk 2077.
Right. I'm just going to put my Tesla in auto drive, and I'm going to crank up whatever thing I have on Steam and yada, yada, yada. Look up every once in a while. Car's driving itself. It's doing perfectly fine. Oh, my God.
See,
Let's just go ahead and remove this feature.
Because after that lawsuit, I thought they made it so where you could only use the app if the car was in park. But then I don't know if perhaps they realized that people who can afford Teslas can also afford houses. And so when it's parked, they probably just want to go inside and play their games. I don't know.
Right. Honey, what are you doing out in the car? You've got the PlayStation 5 in the house. I'm by myself. I told you to not bother me while I'm gaming.
Right. I'm playing all my adult-only Steam games, which are hidden in my library. So, your wife doesn't know about any of them. Also, I was today years old when I realized that Tesla has S and X models just like
Xbox? Rip off.
I didn't realize that either until you just said that.
Who's copying who?
That's a big I don't give a shit.
I thought the Tesla had it first. Tesla Model S. So they have the Y, the 3, the X, and the S. And you know what? I'm with Ryan. I don't care to look up this information.
I'm already bored. Moving on.
That was amazing. Like we were all like, "Oh my god, coincidence?" And we don't care.
I think not.
The way the curiosity died that fast. That was amazing. Okay. Another Steam headline. Steam has bad news for anyone who has considered what they'll have done with their digital games and belongings after passing away. A recent conversation with Steam seemingly indicates that trying to give a Steam library to a loved one through a will could face problems. A Steam support conversation has been shared on the internet where a user asked if they could potentially transfer an account in a will. Steam support responded, stating that transferring an account or the games on a Steam account isn't possible due to the company's policies. While sharing Steam libraries is possible, outright transferring an account via a will isn't, at least at this point in time.
Write down your password?
Exactly. here's my email that's under this account. Here's my password. I give this to you. That's it.
Just seems like an unnecessary thing to put in your will. And I love gamers, don't get me wrong. But this is such a nerdy gaming thing to do. And like trying to be romantic about it. I betrothed my wife my Steam library.
She's like, what am I going to do with this
Are you not going to betroth your game collection to someone?
My game collection is all physical, so there is some value in that. They could go conceivably on eBay and sell it if they would want to. That would be up to them. But not my Steam library. I'm not like, here's some digital games that you can only access online through this website that you sign into.
Right, especially once welcome. Microsoft buys it and shuts it down.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I had back, I'd say early 2004, I was playing Magic the Gathering online, and I had amassed quite a collection on there, and I ended up selling my user account back when eBay allowed you to sell stuff like that. Now, if let's just say you didn't have anybody to betroth your Steam library to, would you be able to do that on eBay? Like, hey, my Steam library, here's all the games that I have. That's now for you if you want to bid on it, and we can update my email information to yours, and you can change the password. It's now yours, yada, yada, yada.
I feel like that eBay would not be the site to do that. You have to go to like some dark web site to sell your Steam library.
I'm going to stay away from the dark web.
So that nobody would know, right? Yeah.
Right. Main Ace Chase says in the chat, it will be on a thumb drive that will be read out on my will.
I love it.
But like that's part of what we've talked about. The problem with digital games is there's no real secondary market for them.
Nope. And that's exactly what video game companies want. They don't want there to be a secondary market for any of their games. Physical, they had to have that because the technology wasn't there. But now that they have digital, if you want a game, you got to buy it. You can't just give it to a friend.
Horse. All right. And then last up, Mattel announced a new partnership with the British publisher behind the Paw Patrol and My Little Pony video games Wednesday that will see the pair release 3 new games based on classic brands, including the rejuvenated Barbie franchise as part of the company's plans to reverse a slump over the last 2 quarters. The news comes several months after Mattel announced it would start to publish its own video games and unveiled a partnership with a Zynga subsidiary that will see the launch of a new mass-market Barbie mobile game later this year. Yes. The announcements follow the success of Mattel's Barbie Dreamhouse Tycoon, the first official Barbie Roblox game that was visited 27 million times in its first 2 weeks last fall.
I just got to say, I'm really happy for the bronies. I'm sure they've been watching all this Barbie shit, getting really, really upset with it. They said, when is it my time? Well, congratulations, bronies. It's your time. The members of the herd have been heard.
Well, no, because it doesn't specifically state that they're releasing a My Little Pony game. It just states that they're releasing 3 new games based on classic brands, including Barbie.
What a roller coaster for me at this moment.
Right. He was on a high, now he's all the way down.
Right.
Here.
If Ryan takes off that Gamers Week hoodie, he's got his brony shirt on underneath.
Is he wearing his tail tonight?
The butt plug tail?
Is there any other kind of tail?
There might be.
Unfortunately, this chair doesn't have a gap in the back, so I can't wear it while I'm sitting in this chair.
See, I don't want to make assumptions about your tail preference. But of course, you knew it was coming with how crazy popular the Barbie movie was this past or last year, whenever it was. I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't care. But of course, they were going to get a new Barbie game. And of course, it was going to be a mobile game because money. But yeah, we should get Barbie Fashion Designer, the remake.
I am with that. I like that. So that Donnie can play it on Twitch on Mondays.
Finally. And it'll be a mobile game. So he'll have his phone displayed up on Twitch.
I will not do that.
Yeah,
I will not do
we'll
that.
use the biddies we get from Twitch to buy new shoes.
There we go. Oh my God. Like somebody's like, oh girl, get your pumps, slay.
Yeah, treat yourself.
I'm gonna get my pumps.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and jump into our main topic for tonight? And that is from VGC. Nintendo agrees to buy Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat Switch Studio. Nintendo is set to fully acquire Miami-based Shiver Entertainment, the studio responsible for multiple high-profile Nintendo Switch ports. Nintendo announced on Monday that it's entered into an agreement with Shiver's current owner, Embracer Group AB, to acquire 100% of the company's outstanding shares and make it wholly owned subsidiary. Since its establishment in 2012, Shiver, or is it Shiver or is that Shiver? We're going with Shiver.
Why would it be Shiver?
I don't know. Shiver has worked on porting and developing software such as Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal Kombat 1 to Nintendo Switch. By welcoming Shiver's experienced and accomplished development team, Nintendo aims to secure high-level resources for porting and developing software titles. It said in a statement going forward, even after it becomes a part of Nintendo Group, Shiver's focus will remain the same, continuing commissions that port and develop software for multiple platforms, including Nintendo Switch. The buyout represents Nintendo's first acquisition since the 2022 purchase of Dynamo Pictures, now Nintendo Pictures, and SRD.
So Nintendo doesn't buy companies often, so when they do, you got to take notice. But to hear that they're going with the studio that ported the Mortal Kombat game to Switch, which was so bad it made headlines all over. Really?
Wasn't Hogwarts a bad port as well?
I believe so.
I think it was an okay port considering it was like they had like 1/3 of the space to work with as they did like on the Xbox Series versions. So they had to squish it down to like 1/3 of the size and maybe somehow made it work. And well, it wasn't great. I think you could at least mostly play it. So maybe that's the key here is they've said these people can make functional games with next to nothing. We should hire them.
I mean, I like that outlook, and hopefully Nintendo doesn't do anything with letting these people go from the studio at all. They welcome them with open arms and say, okay, like you guys you do such a great job, quote, air quotes. We're going to bring you into the fold. And if we have a game that we want to port to the Switch, you guys know what you're doing, quote unquote, and we're going to give you the reins and let you do this. So that says with confidence from Nintendo that they like the studio, they like what they're doing. But for me, it's a wait and see. You know, what is Nintendo officially going to do with this studio? Are they truly going to keep them on board and let them continue to do what they do? Or are they going to turn a 180 and say, no, we're just going to get rid of you?
I don't think Nintendo is the kind of company, though, that does that often is that, we're going to get rid of you. That's definitely a Xbox, PlayStation move, right? Mm-hmm. For the most part. And to Blue's point before, and even the article's point, they don't buy stuff often, right? So they've got at least some plans, right? And the only thing that sucks about this for Nintendo is that the reason that they have to purchase this company is because of the way they utilize technology, right? It's like the Gumbo pay you koi thing, lateral thinking with withered technology. The reason that they have to have a team that ports stuff over is because, let's be honest, their consoles aren't really the most advanced, and nobody wants to make AAA games for a console that just doesn't have the snuff for it, right? So they're kind of putting themselves in that situation. I get that buying a company is a lot cheaper than having to license that out to this company in order to get that done. So I think it's probably a smart move on their part. But moving forward, Switch 2 is coming out. Really highly doubt that they're going to be even remotely close to even what the PS5 is capable of right now for that next generation for console. And they're still in the same boat. So I don't know. Nintendo, you do this to yourself.
I mean, you're correct. You did say earlier is like the reason they have to buy this company. They don't have to. I mean, their whole business model has been, we remove ourselves from the console wars, like we were talking about earlier. You forgot they were even in the console wars. We remove ourselves from the console wars. We play our own game. We release our own type of titles, and we're not trying to play this big AAA game that Sony and Xbox are trying to do. But it does seem like the last several years, and as evidenced by these Mortal Kombat 1 and Hogwarts Legacy ports, now they're trying to have it both ways. They want to have a cheap, affordable console for families, but they also want to be able to provide those big AAA IP ports to gamers, whether or not it ends up being a good product. Like, you could make the argument that Shiver Entertainment worked freaking miracles with what they had to work with. You could make that argument. Doesn't mean it's still a game that you should be selling to people and charging full price for it. No, that's not the same thing. They're so bad when you look at them compared to their counterparts that are on PS5 and Xbox Series X. But like you said, it does make you wonder what their plans are for Switch 2 and the future of AAA ports on their console.
You know what? They could solve for that problem really quickly by expanding the memory capable storage space on the Switch from 32 gigs up to a terabyte or something, right? Because a lot of the problem, too, that they're running into is that when you get that game, like Mortal Kombat, on PlayStation and Xbox, that's more than 32 gigs easily as far as a game is concerned. So you got to shrink that sucker down. And that's going to affect the fidelity of it, how it runs, all of that stuff.
If I remember correctly, I think Hogwarts Legacy was like 7 point something gigs.
Right.
Now, how powerful do we know that the Switch 2 is going to be? Is it going to be able to handle those AAA titles that play well on an Xbox Series X or the PS5?
And at this point, Nintendo's track record would point to no, right?
Right.
I mean,
so if they don't release a console that's powerful enough to do this, I think I would be okay if they released the same game. If they hired this company, or they had this company, since they're already buying them, they had this company port this license, this AAA license, and say, hey, do the best you can. And whenever they do release it, it's like maybe half the price of what the regular, like $69.99. They're like, hey, it's the game, but it's, we did the best we can. How about you give us $39 and you can play it? Like, oh,
it becomes like a loss leader for them, right?
Sure.
People wanted to play that Mortal Kombat 1 game. We gave you a version of it. We gave you basically the equivalent of Mortal Kombat when it was ported to the Game Boy. It technically is a game.
That's true. There's a long, illustrious history of Nintendo ports of games that are just kind of like, really?
So, and I can't imagine them buying this company just to shut them down. Like I said before,
right.
It's really it's because they hire this company to just say, hey, port this game to the Switch. They can just say, we're not going to use you anymore. That's it. That's all they can do. So it made absolutely no sense for them to buy them and shut them down or get rid of them. This, I think, is just a move because they've done okay work. And they're like, we're going to keep you guys doing what you're doing. Based on the Switch 2's power and its capability. So,
and now that it's in house, it'll probably cost them half as much to get the projects done. So yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe they are going to repurpose all of those developers. Like, we have seen how you can squeeze every drop out of nothing. So we want to bring you on for more work for our underpowered consoles, since the next one is going to be, as Main Chase Ace says, as powerful as an iPhone 5.
You know what they're going to do is they're going to finally port Final Fantasy VII to an N64 cartridge. Just one. That's
just one cartridge?
Just one 64 megabytes. They're going to get the whole game in there.
No, see, it should be like a subscription service. So every month you get the next 64 cartridge of Final Fantasy VII, and it goes on for what, 3 years, something like that?
Right. You get 20 more minutes of the game.
We throw out a lot of good ideas, which I'm sure some people listen to and implement. Don't put that out in the universe.
God, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
All right, next up from Dot Esports, Microsoft opens new game studio under Activision after shutting down 3 last week. Microsoft has announced that Activision has formed an all-new internal studio focusing on a new narrative-based AAA franchise. But gamers are scratching their heads after seeing a new studio open up just a week after 3 others were closed. The new studio, Elsewhere Entertainment, is headquartered in Warsaw, Poland, and is made up of developers that have worked on successful titles and franchises like The Last of Us, Uncharted, The Witcher, Cyberpunk, Destiny, Tom Clancy's The Division, and Far Cry. In the announcement today, Activision said it has opened its search for the best in-class talent from across the industry to work at Elsewhere, and it should go without saying that the employees who were not reassigned and were let go from last week's layoffs should be given priority. It's been a tumultuous year in terms of layoffs already, but hopefully a new studio can at least provide some relief to those searching for a job.
Must be on site in Warsaw.
Yeah, no remote work capabilities whatsoever. This is kind of a dick move, if you ask me.
Like, who is running this place?
I don't know. And yet we continue to be surprised by Microsoft's and Xbox's dick moves.
Just going to get to the point where I'm just like, oh, yeah, I totally saw this coming. I'm not there yet, but damn. I guess this must be one of those prestige kind of studios that will win awards instantly. They know that, right?
Right.
And what happens when they don't win an award? Shut them down?
Or even if they do, it's not going to matter.
Right.
They'll win all the awards and be like, well, see, here's your pink slip. Thanks a lot.
I will say it's less expensive to bring in developers from Poland. I will say that. So
probably because CD Projekt Red is based in Poland. So there must be, it must be very affordable to run a studio from there.
Right. And considering that CD Projekt Red was there, all you have to do is just take all of their developers who aren't happy at CD Projekt Red, which rumor had it for years that was the case. So you can just gobble up all those folks and make Cybertrunk 7702.
Right. And
Legend of Zelda?
to be working on a narrative-based AAA franchise, which is code for not going to make a lot of money. At least, like that's how the gaming industry thinks about it, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
What do you mean?
Narrative-based AAA franchise. I guess that doesn't have to mean single player. It doesn't have to mean no microtransactions.
No, it doesn't have to mean that at all.
No, Immortals of Avium was the last AAA game that tried to accomplish like an old school single player AAA game. And of course, we talked about that failed miserably. So I guess it'll be interesting to see what narrative-based AAA franchise means to them. It sounds like the kind of thing that is supposed to get gamers like us excited. Ooh, we love narrative-based games like, the golden age of the 2010s or whatever. But
the most generic term for a type of video game. We're all excited. It could be anything.
At least it doesn't say Battle Royale.
Right. I'll give them that.
Or free to play.
But this is an Activision studio, but also a Microsoft studio, correct?
Well, since Microsoft owns Activision.
Right.
So,
okay.
yeah.
They're opening the new studio. under Activision.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be an Activision studio.
Do you think that having that name is attractive to developers nowadays?
Activision?
Based off of all the things that have gone on in the background and the news that comes out about that. I'm just saying, if you're going to try to make a new studio, maybe Activision isn't the flagship that you want leading that charge. Maybe just make up a studio, or just say Microsoft is opening up a studio. Hey guys, this is a Microsoft building now.
No, that's a good point. That's a very good point. We promise that this one won't be the abuse-laden boys club that the last one was. We swear.
We've learned our lesson. We're
Gamers,
sorry.
We hear you. We listened and we hear you.
I don't know. All right, well, let's move on to our top 3 new releases of the week. First up is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, out on Xbox Series X and S and PC. The sequel to the award-winning Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, Senua returns in a brutal journey of survival through the myth and torment of Viking Iceland. Intent on saving those who have fallen victim to the horrors of tyranny, Senua faces a battle of overcoming the darkness within and without. Next up is X Defiant on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Ubisoft's Worlds collide in a free-to-play first-person arena shooter where you compete to be the best in fast-paced online matches. Join an always-evolving experience with regular updates, bringing new playable factions and a growing collection of maps, weapons, and game modes. With crossplay, you will be able to join your friends across available platforms. Mr. Blue was playing this earlier. He described it as Call of Duty meets Halo.
Oh.
And then last up, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, out on Switch. Join Mario and friends on an epic paper adventure. The X-Nauts are after the treasure behind the Thousand-Year Door. With a map from Princess Peach and the help of a few locals, Mario must journey through a colorful world made of paper to find it first. 20 years after the original game on the Nintendo GameCube system, this version for the Nintendo Switch system has revamped graphics, an updated soundtrack, and gameplay additions like updated quick travel pipes and a partner ring to swap characters in a jiffy. You guys used your partner ring lately?
Isn't that a category on Pornhub?
Let me go search.
Partner rings and swapping in a jiffy.
All right. So what are you in for, Donnie?
Started with me. Okay. I can tell immediately what I'm not in for is X Defiant. I looked at a little bit of the gameplay, and there is absolutely nothing that would discern this from a Call of Duty. I mean, when I saw it, I was like, that's Call of Duty. That's all it is. There's no enticement for me to play this game. Don't say, well, it's a new shooter. Play it. It's new. So? You want me to spend $60 to play something that's exactly like what we have at home?
It's actually free. It's free to play.
Okay.
Now he's gonna play it.
Well, okay. So like the battle royales are free to play and everything like that. They get you with the microtransactions and all that stuff. If this is free to play, I mean, I might check it out just to see like how they're going to get that hook in you to get you to cough up some of your money, but I'm not happy about it. It does not entice me. It does not spark joy. So I'm going to pass that one. Which leaves Senua's Saga and Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. I have Paper Mario. I've never played it. I really don't know what the gameplay is like on this one, so I can't say I'd be rushing out to grab it. From a collector standpoint, yeah, probably going to pick it up and just, if I get the chance to play it, sure. But Senua's Saga looks cool. It looks trippy. It's like a fever dream in like God of War fever dream. And that seems a little bit cool to me. So based on the gameplay and what I saw, survival with horror and everything like that, I think this is the game for me. But I'm not in any rush to run out and pick up either one.
Okay. What about you, Ryan?
I'm actually conflicted. I would say Hellblade 2 looks super cool. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. To be honest with you, I haven't played the original Hellblade as well. So maybe that's where I'm kind of being a little bit, trepidation, or I have trepidations about it, if you will.
Trepidatious.
Yes. Is that
That's
a word?
The word of the day. I have no idea.
We're
Check
making
your calendar.
it up. Yeah.
It is a word.
Which leaves me with X-Defiant and Paper Mario. Now, X-Defiant, I would like to play that game because it's hard to get into new shooters when everyone else has already played them for a year or two, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you go on and certain friends of yours just yell at you because you're not very good at the game and they make you feel bad about yourself. Donnie.
No, I don't do that.
So having one that where like everybody's equal, I think I would definitely check that out. It's free to play too. So yeah, I'm into it. And I loved Halo back in the day. Not as much Call of Duty, but Halo I loved. So if there's some elements to that, and region shooters could be fun. So that's definitely something I would be willing to look into. The price tag certainly helps. Now, I didn't have a GameCube back in the day when I was a kid. So Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door is not something I've ever experienced before. So I think this is something that I would love to check out. To my knowledge, I think the original GameCube cart, or I guess technically CD, is pretty expensive if you want to get like an original. So this might be a fantastic way to do that and experience it and not have to pay too much. So I'm going to say I'm picking two this week, which does not happen very often. X-Defiant and Paper Mario.
Nice.
Interesting.
I like how you say, I didn't have a GameCube when I was a kid, but it released in 2001. I was already in college. I picked
I
one
was
up.
16 then, if you would like to know.
It's fine. It just makes me feel super, super old.
Right?
Yeah.
Blue, what about you? What are you picking up this week?
Super looking forward to X-Defiant. You guys know me.
What? Plot twist.
No. I'm not. Free to play shooter? No thank you. Especially not on Ubisoft Plus. No thank you. Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. I too did not play the first Hellblade, though I heard pretty much nothing but good things about it. So the second one is getting kind of mixed reviews. Everybody seems to agree that it looks absolutely fantastic, but that the story is kind of convoluted and the gameplay is a little bit weak. So that's just what I've read. Cannot confirm, but if you're a fan of the first one, I imagine you'll probably really like the second one. I would love to get to the series at some point. But Paper Mario is, of course, my choice for this week. Every time there's a new Mario game, I'm going to get it. Even though I had a GameCube back in college, I did not have this game. So looking forward to catching up on the series, and I think it'll be fun.
All right, so before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. On this week's episode, Bill concludes his deep dive into Final Fantasy IV with part 3, all of the other stuff we didn't talk about. It's Hungarian goulash of topics, including mechanics, story, the game's place in the series, and purposely petty critiques. So this week's question is, what one minor aspect of a game that will annoy you to the point where it ruins the experience? Let Bill know in your answer by sending him a tweet at gamerlooksat40 on Twitter. Donnie's going to pick the number that the game is on the front cover.
Yes. Well, that's not their fault. Okay. They released that in Japan.
Fault as Americans, right?
It is your fault because it's released here. So go by the one that was released here. Okay. But then stop trying to be eclectic and I do Final Fantasy VI. Oh, you call it 3?
Man, that sounds exactly like me.
I'm going to say a minor thing that will really irk me to the point where I don't really want to play the game is if the dash or dodge button is not on the shoulder buttons.
Ah, good call.
So if you can remap the controls, great, perfect, let's go. But if you can't and I'm stuck trying to push like, I don't know, the O button or triangle or something, like I'll never get it right the entire time I'm playing. In my mind, the dash or dodge belongs on the shoulder buttons, and I will just do that the entire time until I die and give up because apparently I can't learn new things.
You can't become acclimated?
Nope, can't do it.
If we're talking about like retro games, to me, it's floaty controls are the things.
So you hate all Mario?
So let me rephrase that. I guess it would be because seemingly enough, Mario seems intuitive a bit, though, right? Where you can kind of change direction mid jump and that kind of stuff. But when it's almost like it's like the moon level on every game is every part of what you play as. That's where I get annoyed with it, right? Where it feels like you should be making contact with the platform, but you haven't yet. And I don't know. It's almost like the physics of the game just don't match with what I expect. If you were walking up like a flight of stairs and you're used to that cadence and like a stair was or one of the stairs was off, like you would notice it right away, right?
If I was going to build a house, I would build the stairs like that.
just
have one stair. Yes, just to fuck with people. Just have one stair just a little bit off.
You are so sadistic and I love it.
I know.
I think my minor aspect is when the camera tries to correct itself.
Oh, yes.
So in some of the earlier PlayStation games, this was very, very apparent where they're trying to do over the shoulder behind the character. And it's just like you couldn't really control the camera, or you try to, but it's like, nope, you're going to focus down here. Like, oh, no, I want to look over here. But it's like, nope, I'm going to auto this. And this is exactly where you want to look. And there are times when I can't remember which game it was, but it almost made me sick. It almost made me motion sick with it, like trying to just like get my vision set on where I'm supposed to be looking. So if that game has that kind of aspect in it, I'm dropping the controller. I'm taking it back to Blockbuster. I'm getting my money back.
Yeah, that's the hardest part about being nostalgic about like PS2 games. Right. And then actually trying to go back and play them is you're like, wow, this camera is shit. And I didn't realize it at the time, but now I do. And I can't do this anymore.
That's how I feel about GoldenEye. Sorry, GoldenEye.
All right. So once a month on Twitter, we post our VAP, our very important poll. There is no introduction to it. There is no grand entrance or whatever. It's just us reading the poll. If you'd like to participate, follow us on Twitter at @GamersWeekPC. So the question that we proposed this week was, what is your least favorite video game mechanic? Coming in third place actually, if you can say fourth place, third place, no fast travel because enemies are nearby at 13.8%. At number 2 was stamina meters at 26.8%. And taking the top spot this week with a whopping 45.3% was being over encumbered. Now, 14.1% of you said other. So let's take a look at some of the comments from the poll. At Kilcote says, I hate crafting. Me too. Me too. At Sakradosh says, I'd say QuickTime events, but that's not a mechanic. It's just a waste of time. At Nathan X421 says, has always been and will forever be NPC escort quests. Ryan or Blue, do you want to say it? Do you want to say the word?
Oh, crap. I feel like I'm putting on the spot and I don't know what you want.
Leon? Are we screaming Leon?
Thank you.
Leon! Frank knew.
Yeah, Frank in the chat. Leon!
Way to go, Frank. At Galaxy Farts Hubie says, weapons that break over time, RE, Zelda Breath of the Wild, or Tears of the Kingdom. I wish there was a way to fix them or not have them break. And at Retro Tech Select says, this is like the Bethesda shame list.
Greatest hits, shame list, whichever way you want to look at it.
Hall of Shame.
Ryan, how did you vote in the poll this week?
I went other this week. Okay. I was tempted to go with no fast travel because enemies are nearby, especially when you have no idea where they are and they're not, it's not intuitive as to where you need to go. So you just end up like searching for these enemies, and most of the time it's something that you can dispatch quickly, but that's annoying as well, that you couldn't fast travel because of just like, one enemy that's preventing you from doing that. But for me, and this is probably going to be a debate between me and Blue, but I hate weapons that break. in games. I know, yeah, she's giving me the talk hands.
Blah, blah,
right,
blah.
right. I just think that that's a terrible mechanic. I get that it's more realistic. I really do. But that's not why I'm playing a game. I'm here to escape reality. And to me, that just means that I just have to spend more time looking for more weapons. And I don't care. I just want to play the game. I don't want to go out there and find something, and then you find it and it goes, oh, it's half broken, and you got like 3 hits with it, and then it breaks. It's like, oh, God. And then that also prevents me from being able to work through the game a lot faster, right? Because especially when you start off in the game, you get crappy weapons that break quickly. So all of a sudden, the beginning of the game is just so slow, and it just irks me. Blue, what's your rebuttal?
If we're talking specifically Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I was never at a point in those games where I was like, oh my God, I ran out of weapons because they all broke. Because the weapons are freaking everywhere. Everywhere you look, there's a new one for you to pick up. So if you find like one weapon you fall in love with and you think, I want to take this through the rest of the game and it'll leave me overpowered and then I'll beat everything easily. It doesn't let you do that. I don't mind this mechanic at all because I think it adds a new layer of strategy.
But is it fun, though? Is it fun strategy? Does it add any entertainment value to the game?
I don't think it takes it away.
That's it, is that it's just something to do. Right? Like everything that is a part of the game should be fun and entertaining and exciting, not just like, oh, this is my job. I feel like I'm going to my job, right? This is just a mundane task that I have to do. Yes, it's part of it's just the reality I have to accept now, and I don't want that in my games.
I think it's in one game that like the world decided that they just freaking hate it in the Zelda Breath of the Wild games, but I don't know what other games it's in.
Eliminator boat tool. It's not weapons, it's your boat, but you got to repair it every time, right?
Okay. I mean, the fact that you don't mind grinding for hours and hours until your brain is pudding in RPGs kind of makes me wonder about your qualification for judging what is or is not fun.
I think that's fun, but because there's a reward. There's a reward at the end. If you put in the time, you're rewarded by having easier fights later on. What do you get by finding more broken weapons?
You don't find them broken. You don't find them broken.
That's not true. You find them like they're like half of what they should be, which is technically broken.
No.
Yeah. Well, you're the expert, so. Yeah.
I'd still rather do that than fight the same small enemy 400 times so that when I get to an actual interesting battle, I can just whip through it because I'm overpowered.
Well, it's not the same enemy 400 times. They mix it up a little bit.
You're okay. The same half dozen enemies 400
That's fine.
times?
Yeah. But that definitely changes the dynamic. So
okay. I'm with Ryan with the fact that I don't like, and more specifically Final Fantasy III, when you go on the Veldt and you have to level up each player's ability. So you could spend an hour or 2 hours there just fighting the same things over and over and over and over again. That
particular grind is annoying because you don't actually get anything like as far as XP on that one.
Right. You just
trying to get you're basically getting the enemy abilities. And when you get one that you've already had, you're like, I don't care.
Okay. So then how did you vote, Donnie?
If I remember correctly, I believe it was the whole workout eat mechanic. Right. And I think Breath of the Wild has that a little bit. Like you can cook different things and eat to give you special abilities. I like that. Okay. So like if there's something that you eat that's going to keep you from freezing to death in the specific region, I can kind of get on board with that. One of the things I can't get on board with was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where you were forced to make your character eat. And I'm not so sure sleep, so don't quote me on that one, but eat and exercise. I try to incorporate that into the game. And if you don't, then you turn into this big giant slob that just can't run fast. So if you're on foot trying to catch up to somebody, you can't do it. You get on a bike and you're huffing and puffing. You don't have the stamina to do it. It just doesn't work. And that, when I saw that mechanic, I start, because I love the Grand Theft Auto games. I love Grand Theft Auto 3. I love Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Here comes San Andreas. And I'm like, all right, another entry into it. And what the hell is, I've got to go to a restaurant. I've got to order food. I've got to keep his stamp. I checked
more
out.
mundane tasks that don't freaking matter, that you don't want included on your game.
My player character is on a keto diet right now. We're counting our carbs, okay?
And fasting. Also Grand Theft Auto fat shaming back in the day, right? So Blue, what are you going with?
So being over encumbered was real close.
I hate that too.
Then the game turns into an inventory management sim, which is annoying.
Breath of the Wild.
Like, I mean, you can hold as much food as you want. Let's be honest. And you can hold it forever. Like the milk in your inventory, it's been there for 3 years. Still good.
Ew.
Still as good as the day you picked it up. And Resident Evil 4, one of my favorite games. It has the case, right? So you're not over encumbered to the point where you can't run, but a lot of games limit what you can have in your inventory. What specifically makes being over encumbered annoying is that it impacts your performance in the game because you're carrying too much. Can't run, can't fast travel, can't do this or that until you drop stuff. I guess I much more prefer that it would just not let you pick it up in the first place than it would say, well, you can carry it, but you're going to be fat and slow. So I don't like that. But what I actually went with was stamina meters. Those are the actual worst, is having to keep an extra eye, because there's inevitably going to be a time where you're in the boss fight. You've been trying forever to beat this boss and you are ready to hit the kill strike, but you don't have any stamina.
Right.
Or you've run into a predicament, a heap of trouble, as it were, as we were talking about earlier in the Discord, a heap of trouble. You're running for your life and you could save yourself, except you run out of stamina. Forget about stamina meters. No one likes them.
I mean, if you think about it, it's realistic, because you have a certain amount of stamina as a human being, and if you deplete that, then you're done. You're exhausted. You can't get into the fight. So,
and that's why I don't want my games to be realistic.
Right, because then you're eating and working out, and nobody likes that.
Yeah.
Next up, they're going to be like, all right, bathroom break.
Make sure you shower.
It's like, oh, you didn't stop what you were doing to go to the bathroom. You peed your pants, and now everybody looks at you. They're laughing at you. And you got to go back 10 spaces, and you're just like, okay, whatever.
Embarrassment meter has peaked.
Right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you all for listening to episode 118 of Gamers Week Podcast. And a big thank you to the Retro Game Club podcast, Love Retro BTW, and A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gamers Week Podcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of this episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. So thanks so much, everyone who has been hanging out in the chat. We love having you guys here and doing this show live.
Absolutely.
100%. Thank you very much, everybody, for stopping in and hanging with us tonight, getting a preview of the episode before it goes live on Friday. Mm-hmm. You get to be here with us with your hands in the dough, getting it ready, sweating over the dough, sweating over what we're making, and getting it ready to serve to you.
I think you're just talking about your own personal fantasies now.
Right.
I don't think they're doing any of that.
When I was in the military, in my unit, there was a cook who would just hover over the pots and stuff like that.
I don't know if I want to hear this story.
Oh, God.
You're the one with the weak stomach, and you're making me...
When we had our weekend drills, we wouldn't eat at the mess hall. We'd go out to like fast food place or a restaurant and come back. We would never eat the food there at all.
Gross.
All right, on that note, have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a great night. See you later. Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, patrons with benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VDSTDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
That was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.